I'm back with another David update, and I know a lot of people have been saying there's not been any big new updates, there's not been any new information that's been found, but in this video I'm actually going to show you a whole bunch of never before seen evidence that once again cooks David. Okay, people saying, you know, we're running out of things to talk about, but there's actually still, even at this stage in the game, more incriminating, damning stuff coming out about David, about his team, about the people around him, about the people in his community, and I've got a big batch of information to share with you in this video, okay? I know a lot of people have been waiting for another big update, and I do actually have quite a few interesting new things to show you guys here. So the first thing that I want to show you that I think is really, really interesting is this. So this is a recording, okay? This is a recording that David apparently made on April the 29th, 2025. Not too long, like 6 days, less than a week after the alleged murder of Celeste.
I believe when you're all that I need. If you bleed, then I bleed eternally.
If you bleed, then I bleed eternally. It's a little bit weird, right? Talking about bleeding into, if you bleed, then I bleed eternally. So it's less than a week after the murder, and he's already touched down in the studio talking about if you bleed, then I bleed.
But no, you're not the only one.
Now, no, you're not the only one. Now, what could that be in reference to? To be honest, we was hearing that there might have been other minors. There might have been a Valentine's Day where Celeste was in one property. Another potentially underage girl might have been in another property. That's a rumor that's been going around for quite some time. And it is not great, all right? And then he's just hopping on the mic, hopping in the closet, making little songs, revealing some of this information. It's not great. Now, we've got more details that are now coming out about how David and Celeste allegedly met on Fortnite. And there's actually some information coming out from Moji, who is the alleged creator of David's Discord, and the very person who was rumored to have sent a message that we listened to in the last video. At the start of the last video, there was a message. Basically, it was a voice message from a Discord mod in David's community, basically saying, oh, look, David's team, we're working together with David's team to you know, clean up the Discord. It's too late. People have already taken screenshots. We should have shut it down straight away, but now it's too late. They're going to accuse us of covering up. Basically being part of a failed botched cover-up, basically. So they're saying that that's who it was. Now, interestingly enough, okay, this is some more information allegedly about how David and Celeste met.
I'm not going to lie, bro. It will be so much fucking worse for everybody if we close the server. It just will be so much worse. They're already speculating that we're hiding evidence just by closing off all the text chats. So imagine what happens if we close the server. Who are they going to go to other than the people in the screenshots? It's just going to get worse. Like, we're leaving it. David's team wants us to leave it. There's nothing else we can do. Like, I talked to his manager. He's like, yeah, just leave it. We don't want to be hiding anything. And that's super fair, in my opinion. Just tell her to close her DMs, bro. Like, fuck. It's not that hard, man. Obviously, she's responding and opening DMs, or else she wouldn't be getting any more and getting bothered by it. I have over 1,000 messages in my requests, and I do not fucking care because I don't look. I don't really care. Half of them are fucking death threats. I don't fucking care.
Now, this next part is what's going to be a little bit crazy because we already heard that part of the recording, but this is a new part now that's just come out.
If Kylie thinks it's bad for her just because she's in one screenshot, think about the dude who fucking has the owner role in David's fucking Discord server. It'd be different if we hit it right away, but what we did right away was lock the channel and let all these external sources look through messages, and now there's screenshots. But if people like Lamp and Inglesi didn't fucking do that, we could have just shut it down right away. But now that we're in this far with it being open, we can't close it.
My bad. I had actually heard that before. I thought there was going to be a little bit more information at the end of that. But what I do have here is some screenshots of some conversation with Moji. And basically, he appears to be explaining exactly how Celeste and David met on Fortnite and the age. Okay, so this is a very, very interesting and damning set of DMs, messages that are from the Discord chat, the David Discord. Okay, this says general, so these weren't DMs, sorry, these were public messages in the Discord. Okay, the general chat. This is Moji. You might be, it's a bit hard to see the color of it there, but that's Moji. They said we were all in Team Limit Fortnite team, and people are saying, they're saying Celeste, how the F was a 12-year-old in a paid Fortnite organization. He said, I honestly figured even older than me, like she didn't sound like a kid. And then someone said, 7Mo. Oh, no, that's just a date. I don't know what this is in context of, but he said, who were 17, but she taught like all of us did. Because she would have been 12 when we were playing Fortnite on the same team. Somehow I never knew she was a major minor. Shout out Celeste. And so here are some other messages from the Discord where they basically discussed how on earth was a 12-year-old on a professional gaming team. So Inglesi says he knew everything, right? And someone says probably. And then they said, how the F did the team let a 12-year-old on? Was it run by a manager? They said, nobody's talking about it, but I wish it could gain attention. Someone said, who owns Limit? So I guess that's the team, right? And so then someone said, like, genuinely. They said, I don't know. I know Barry used to run it. Someone said, I can find out who owns Limit quick, but not anyone. Yeah, find out who owned it at the time. Barry left before David. He didn't Limit rebrand. And then basically, this is now a backup of one of the first messages that Celeste actually ever sent in David's Discord. Now, let me see if I can show you all of this without it being cut off. So this is a back and forth. They said that was so expected. Good night. I got gen ed classes at 5. What? Someone said attempted murder. Tempest, sleep well. Good night, 5 a.m. And then this is Celeste. So she's in the chat in 2022. People think this might be one of, if not the first message from Celeste that says, how I verify /verify. So here's another screenshot. Apparently, so this shows one of Celeste's like Finsta accounts commenting on one of David's live streams. So basically comments, hey, with an angry face, this is the Hello Kitty Life Girl account. So that is a pretty notorious account. We're just seeing that she was around super, super early. I hadn't seen this comment before. So one person you might have come across like whilst following this case and keeping up with everything is this guy Lamp. Okay, he recently took to X to basically suggest there might have been even more going on inside David's community. Says, people wondering what I mean by David's community was a 764 community. Me and other community members will be making a stage channel on a Discord server, recording it all to explain some things that it seems like people missed. Now, 764 is obviously this diabolical cult that we've seen talked about recently. And, you know, there's something weird going on with this 764 thing where, you know, apparently it started in Texas and it was like young people grooming other young people to do horrible things. Minors involved. You can go and I've done a few videos about it way back in when this stuff first started coming out. But basically, okay, Lamp had apparently been threatened in David's Discord after allegedly leaking songs. So this was a back and forth. Lamp saying 15, Skull already mentioned I was 15. It makes sense. But how do you not know how the legal system works at that age? He said, an email for what, dude? He said, from the label. They said, do you know how court cases work? It says, it makes sense, but how do you not know the legal system, how the legal system works at that age? It says, I do, or I know. And then goes on, basically, there's more messages. It says, you asking the wrong person about this. You obviously not getting sued. He said, I feel like the first time was good enough. Lamp said, okay. Someone said, but thank you so much, dude. That's so insightful and helpful, man. You're so intelligent. You're so right. The world is yours and we're living in it. The label took it seriously. David and I didn't. I try to help you understand, but you don't retain any information. So congratulations. Wouldn't I have an email by now? An email for what, dude? You think they hit you with a you've been served for defamation via email? How old are you, man? People saying, I'm not scared by you, David, or the label. So it seems like he's sort of getting threatened, basically, right? Because now we see from the longer screenshot, I didn't realize that was David himself. David himself was threatening him. He said, you're asking the wrong person about this. You're obviously not getting sued. But again, it's like, it seems like David is actually putting pressure on this guy. So I'm not scared by you, David, or the label. He said, nobody's trying to make you scared. He said, holy shit, I can't believe you're serious. And they said, what? And he reposted David's comment, right? So this was apparently the person who actually asked David who the girl was, and David replied, you're a fed. They said, hey, who's the girl? He said, you're a fed. He said, what? What you mean? What you mean? For real? Who's the girl? You think, why am I a fed? Because it's a minor. Because it's a minor, okay? So we've also got this in February 2026, after the murder had taken place, but before David was arrested. Users have been discussing that 764 alleged demonic cult link. People saying, bro, I got the craziest backstory in the whole David stuff, bro. And he says, genuinely? I got her cut signs. What? People are confused. I said, what the F communities have you been in, bro? I said, David's. That's all from David. David's com was basically a 764 gang. And people saying, yes, all. So people in the Discord have been saying for a while that this 764 thing is what was going on. Someone said, yo, it said from David's community. David's com was basically 764 gang, like for real. And they said maybe that one guy wasn't lying about the Neo theory. Okay. So I think this is the Neo theory. They're saying, was he 764? Because I probably knew him too. What's his Discord? People saying, what do you mean, WeHo Neo? They said, Neos, yeah. They posted a picture of his mugshot. And then they said, Neo, David's IRL friend. Yeah. I said, yeah, what's his Discord? They said, I don't even know. And then from here, people in the Discord kind of started to believe that David's friend Neo was somehow involved in this conspiracy with Celeste, or even a more wider 764 child grooming operation, cult-like thing. They said, how much proof you think Neo has? People saying 0, he's clout chasing. Other people saying he knows a lot. Saying, I agree. They're saying, dude wasn't saying this when he was spending David's money, lol. People saying he 100% knows everything. People saying, which Bryant song are you referring to? This is the one you gave a snippet of and said it's the best one. All of a sudden, David's a weirdo and I never liked him. All right? That's true. People saying, who was the second chainsaw for? Be so for real. And people saying Neo Langston. Shows so ass because the last season ruined the whole show. They're saying, but season 4 was good. You should leave season 4 as the ending. Don't watch season 5. Season 4 was really good. I can't lie. 5 just ruined it for me. They're saying, who was the second chainsaw for? Neo. So in addition to that, here's a little bit more backstory on how David's Discord mod Xerx was moving after people found out about the Tesla. So he said, so he can be the one to tell us. He deadass told David's managers not to tell us. That dude's ruin it. Okay, good. Is Xerx in here? So this is Moji kind of asking about what's going on. We need to get info from Xerx. You know, David's managers were trying to get the information once people found out about the body in the Tesla. So people are basically debating. They're saying Xerx needs to reveal what's going on. Says, yeah, I got to listen to it. Dose is friends with Carney. Said Xerx is ass. He needs to be hung. Carney got no filter for real. F that MF. Y-O. And then Xerx had a post that people reposted. It said, MFs don't even know the context. Twitter and Reddit always pushing shitty narratives. This is September the 22nd, 2025. Right? Body's been discovered, but they're just about to identify who it was. People saying, what is the context then? All I see is you deleting messages of an alleged PDF murderer's Discord server. So this person's name's been redacted, but they're clapping back at Xerx, basically. And he said, deleting pictures of the owner so they wouldn't dox him. They still did. Leaked his address, called his parents, etc. Then people saying, never mind. Yeah, bro, definitely knew about the body. Someone said, yeah, he did. And want to hear some crazy shit? They said they didn't leak shit. It's all public. Someone said, okay, yes, I want to hear crazy stuff. What's going on? And this is what they said. They said Xerx hid a bunch of stuff from staff in David's closet so that he could be the one to tell people to receive the credit for it. When in reality, he wasn't doing himself any favors by being selfish. And they said he showed me the folder of what he deleted. Genuinely dumb. What kind of stuff? And then they're saying, let's just expose Xerx in a group chat. So someone said, for real, they said, this has been happening a while now, not new. Xerx genuinely was moving weird and I don't mess with it. Xerx has always been weird, bro. He was too cocky about being David's friend. I knew him since 2023. Is he an adult? And then people posted this picture of David, right, locked in together. And then basically after this, all right, there was some interesting insights about apparently David was basically just locked in playing video games while he was hiding and waiting for his arrest. These are all of his different screen names for playing Fortnite, basically on different systems by the looks of it, right? He was playing Fortnite right up until 2 days before he was arrested. Thursday, April the 16th, 2026. He was still playing Fortnite, still on these usernames. It's messed up. So here he is talking about playing PlayStation with somebody, and I believe this probably was after the murder. Someone's saying, let me know if you want to play, though. We can just relax and have fun. I think you already got my PS user as well if it's needed. He said, super down as soon as my Wi-Fi comes back. There's a huge Spectrum outage right now. These are apparently his David online character, his GTA online characters, and this one's ironic, right? He better get used to this one, okay? He's going to meet a few people in the jail that might fit in Grand Theft Auto, okay? These are apparently his different alter egos. This is David 2. Right? The Los Santos Police Department Robbery Homicide Division, I believe. And then here he is playing as a chick. All right? He's switching it up. He's gender bending when he feels like it. Okay? And then basically from here, it says we also have several messages from the time David was allegedly in hiding where he seemed to be turning to Jesus. So a lot of people were saying that he was sending them Bible quotes. This is apparently a back and forth. Someone saying to him on October the 15th, so just under a month after the body was identified, just over a month after the body was found. People are saying, I pray it's all just misinfo. The internet sucks. And David says it really does. So much twisted and fake. Well, it turns out that might not have been the case, allegedly. Okay. Someone says, I'm sorry, dude. They said, God bless you, twin. Keep going with your music. Don't stop for nothing. Thank you, gang. I'll never forget. You helped me so much with the BandLab stuff. Big inspo, bro. Hope you're staying safe for real, man. Love you. Someone saying, love you, bro. Real shit. I appreciate you. You ever need presets or opinions on music? I got you. And then he gets into the Bible. He gets on his preacher shit, right? Saying something, skip to the books of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. Those are the books that cover all of Jesus' life until his death. Then after, read the Psalms and Proverbs, which is basically the motivational part of the Bible that teaches you how to pray. It says, Bible is confusing, but if you read it in that order, it starts to make sense. Reading it in chronological order is tricky. Damn, dude, thank you. Bro, of course, my goat. When people stop stalking my Instagram followers to make conspiracy theories, I got to follow you back. So he's not feeling these conspiracy theories, right? All of this is going on in the background while people like me are digging deep and holding his feet to the fire. Someone says, I know you're innocent, bro. Why can't the world know these people are stupid? He hits back. He said, aha, with all humility, I would phrase it as mere ignorance rather than unintelligence. Trust in God, my friend. How has your journey into faith been going? So he's out here doing up preacher man, all right? Dan the preacher man, David the preacher man. They're saying Prestige and Gone Girl, insane, frustrating endings. He's talking about movies with people. Said, hey, sometimes those are the best endings to a story. His story is definitely going to be insane, maybe not frustrating. It says, I really like how Twinless ended. Happy birthday, man. Saying, thank you, brother. Little did he know he'd be getting locked up soon, right? And he even hating on the Israelites. Says the Israelites hated Jesus because, like we were just talking about, they gatekept their faith and didn't want any other nations to share gifts that God gave them. So David's also having conversations about drugs. Someone says it's kind of the same thing with weed. It can be regulated, but even if so, people will still find a way around. He said non-comparable because weed is natural. This country used to give people cocaine for a headache. So these are the types of private conversations that David's having, right? And they're finally leaked. Someone hit him and said emotions like fear, anxiety were just all unlocked. And this comes from being able to think in front of what's going to happen, reasoning, etc. Thinking ahead is way better way to put this. Thinking ahead is a better way to put this. And then David says, well, not necessarily, because intuition is foresight that isn't negative. Fear and anxiety are negative versions of intuition. Intuition is primitive version of reasoning. No, it says interchangeable words. They mean the same thing. They said intuition is a feeling based on your subconscious, though. There is no thinking through it. But for reasoning, you have to move the pieces in your brain. So we were connected to everything. So crazy to think about. We could literally talk to animals like life on Pandora if you've ever seen the Avatar movie. So these are the private conversations David was having at home while he was hiding out, ducking these murder charges. It's actually bizarre. He's trying to keep positive. Now, I wonder if there's more. These are things that other people have had conversations with him and, you know, snaked him and leaked the messages. But I wonder if we're ever going to get, you know, maybe a leak, maybe a hack into his Instagram, into his private messages. Who knows, at the court trial, we might actually get some iMessage exports, some iCloud data, all of that kind of stuff. And we might be getting some full breakdowns of some of the conversations he was having behind the scenes beyond just this kind of smaller conversation. So I personally found this interesting. Okay, this is new information. I haven't really seen any of this before. Hope you found that interesting and useful. We're just preserving all of this information, all right, for future generations, for future publication of the David story. Okay, we might look back on this in 10, 20, 30 years time and say this was the most heinous crime a celebrity ever committed. And thank God people were just documenting all the information. And I just want to say one thing. I know a lot of people have been hating on me, and I'm trying not to put too much attention towards the hate. But like, I went out the other day and a really nice girl came up to me and spoke to me. She said, oh, and this is true. Look, people are going to say I'm making up. This is a true thing that happened, right? Girl came up to me and said, oh, I just wanted to say, like, I really respect what you're doing with the David case. You've got to keep doing it. Keep promoting it. Don't listen to anybody saying that you should stop or you shouldn't talk about this. And I was like, oh, I really appreciate that. Thanks. Really kind. Glad you're finding the content useful. And she said to me, she said, I really appreciate it because I was groomed by an older man years ago. And I went through a situation that was similar, and it could have, if I wasn't careful, gone the same way as the Celeste situation. And she said, I think it's really important that you're spreading the word and letting people know these kind of things are going on. Letting other young girls know. If a guy hits you up on Fortnite, you got to be careful. I did a whole video on Fortnite predators on the main channel. Didn't get seen by too many people, but I actually genuinely think these are important things. We're putting that out into the public. So for all the people saying, you're milking it, oh, you're just doing data. No, I'm here. I'm not rehashing old stuff. I'm here with this as new information, all right? We're preserving it. We're putting out there. We're letting people know how predators like this operate. We're letting people know you're not safe on the Discord communities, okay? You've got to be careful. These types of things, there are creepy Hollywood celebrities that are trying to get minors out of their homes, all right, to do horrible stuff. And if it don't go their way, some of these guys are so depraved. Yeah, he killed her. Okay, so this is a warning. This is a PSA. I'm not saying I'm as important as the police or I'm responsible for locking David up, but I'm spreading the word and I'm letting people know this kind of thing is going on. David wasn't the only one. There are probably other Celestes out there right now going through the same thing, meeting creeps on Fortnite, meeting D-list celebrities who are trying to entice them out of their normal life and their day-to-day habits to a place where they really didn't want to end up. Okay, so that person that came up to me when I was out at a little bar for a friend's birthday in Hollywood, but they said something. They said that to me. It really affected me. They said, "I really appreciate it. Don't stop. Don't let anyone tell you you should stop. I think what you're doing is really useful." And you know, she said, "I went through a situation. I think it's really important that people spread the word. We need to let people know this type of thing really goes on, and you got to look out for it." That's just my honest opinion. Okay. So anyway, I hope you found that video useful. All right, we will be documenting all this history for the long what's it called? The long game, all right? Because this David trial might go on for years. Might go on for years and years and years and years and years, and we might get to the point where by the time that the news breaks that David has actually been found guilty and that the word is being spread to millions of people that this kind of behavior is not going to be allowed, by the time we get to that point, for some people it might be too late. Some people might have been sucked into a grooming situation, right? Before they had a chance to learn about the David story, before they had a chance to learn that this type of thing's going on in Hollywood and beyond. And it's just like when I covered the Jeffrey Epstein story, a lot of people said, I couldn't believe that was going on. When people said that there's creepy men out there that want to grab your children and take them on a plane and kidnap them and bring them to their island for horrible stuff. A lot of people said, I didn't believe that was far-fetched. That ain't a thing that's really happening. And a lot of people said, oh, well, the way you're covering the Epstein video, even though he's dead, you're letting people know this happened. You're preserving the information and you're letting everybody in the world know, hey, this really happened. There are creeps out there that are going to try and get you onto a private jet, and you got to say no. You got to look out. If you're doing massages at a Palm Beach health resort and some creepy woman approaches you talking about you can make some extra money, you got to look out for these things. It sounds ridiculous and preposterous, but if one person can watch one of these videos about David or Jeffrey Epstein and realize, like, yo, that's creepy though. If someone propositions me, someone propositioning me could actually get so dark to the point where I might actually lose my life. And I do think it's important to spread the word and preserve that. So anyway, that's it. That's me. It's enough of me preaching. All right. I'm super tired today. I'm not feeling it today. But anyway, that's my 2 cents on the situation. So I hope you found that useful. I'll speak to you guys tomorrow. I'm out for now. Peace.